I had the pleasure of meeting Christine, and she came in from Rome, and she's another one that made a very dedicated effort to get here. You know, all of us are complaining because it took us an hour to get here in traffic, and she spent all day yesterday flying here to make sure she could share time with you. So we really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. And she is the INSME Secretariat. INSME stands for International Network for Small and Medium Enterprise. And she is in charge of institutional aspects of INSME member relations, INSME services, the pilot projects, and the portal and the marketing, promotion, communications, and partners and sponsors. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about that, but I'm just going to tell you that Mina and I are very excited that the organization supporting business owners and the Chamber of Eco-Commerce and Christine are going to be able to collaborate, share information, opportunities, ideas, work together to support our members, and we're very excited to have this opportunity for international collaboration. So Christine, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, Christin Pfeiffer.
So thank you. Thank you first of all for being here. It's really nice to be here and share this wonderful frame with you. I will give you some more information about our network. But first of all, thank you, Mina. Thank you all for your attention. I am originally German, but living and working, enjoying in Italy now, in Rome, where our network is based. Next slide, please. What are we doing? INSME has been funded in 2004 under the umbrella of the Italian Ministry of Economic Development and the OECD, with the aim to be a knowledge-based network to share good practice approaches, to share knowledge on how to do knowledge transfer, how to do technology transfer, and share innovation to finally reach SMEs. You might think, as we are in the US, that this is obvious, you know, because normally all innovation that is working is coming from here. So I would invite you to just do one step back and understand what is normally happening in the other countries when it comes to innovation. So what we try to do is putting together in one room different stakeholder categories. So people from policymakers, international organizations who can really set a standard. On the other hand, we brought in some financial actors, and I see that here it is a normal practice that you are in the same room, and I really welcome that, but it's not always the case, in Europe especially. Then we have industrial representatives, like chambers of commerce, but also, you know, we have a lot of those innovation agencies now, promotion agencies, business support organizations, and also privates that really assist finally SMEs to make money on a global environment in a daily changing world. Last but not least, we are handling somehow to attract also academy to our network. You know, this is very often difficult because they have another way of thinking, but it is very, very important to have their long-term vision to make sure we can really find out a good practice to finance innovation somehow and make the benefits also accessible to real SMEs. So our members are not directly SMEs, small and medium enterprises, but intermediaries, multipliers of innovation. And what we do is, if you can give me the next slide, really acting as a problem solver, as enabler for those things to really be at least read somehow, you know. So what we do is really bringing them as a private non-for-profit organization, but born under the umbrella of the government and OECD together and share their information. As, for example, also with the Asian Development Bank, with UNESCO, with UNCTAD, you know, all these United Nations committees that have developed a lot of studies, a lot of knowledge, but very often the way it is discussed or described doesn't really reach SMEs. And until you have policymakers in the same room, they will obviously come to something new, but it really becomes interesting when you also have the financial actors giving their feedback, the industrial representatives to highlight their problems, their daily problems, and academics to show what is the future maybe. Next slide. Here you can see what our current composition is. We are currently 97 members from 41 different countries. You can see them here. We had a nice presentation of EU, the European Union, but we are targeting a lot also non-OECD countries because very often new support mechanisms and methodology approaches is now coming from the more flexible, let's say, or less regulated governments that you can find around the world. So why not making, let's say, taking the advantage to learn from them as well? Next slide, please. This is more or less just to show you, this is not really updated. We are doing better already. We have different kind of memberships, but just for you to know, we are not, first of all, we are not for profit, and secondly, we do not want to really get something out of those membership fees. It's more an entrance fee, just come to the table and develop. We have a project development unit inside our organization because we really want just to bring the players all together and then develop something jointly, because we believe that this is the way that at the end all the different stakeholders have interest in reading what is coming out. Next slide, please. I just wanted to show you how we started. Obviously, Europe was a huge player for us because we know we are also small countries with a different language, with a different culture, as the previous speaker underlined as well. But now we are doing much better. I think after our next annual meeting, we will be less Europeans than people from all over the world. Next slide. And here you can see also that we are doing well on the private-public composition. It is very important for us to have the privates inside because very often they give real feedback. If you think about the US, I know you are used to mix better. In Europe, it's not always the case, and as we started from there, it is very important that you really make the discussion flow, and this is also given by the private organizations, sometimes for-profit, sometimes non-for-profit, because they help us target also the methodology we would like to achieve and share at the end. Next slide, please. Members' main activities, you can see that they are really coming from different sectors. They are quite diverse. For your information, I don't know if you're familiar with the, let's say, the European or also some other country, mainly the global composition of small and medium enterprises. In Europe, more than 90% is a micro-enterprise. That means less than 10 people working there. So family businesses or also very small companies that can be highly specialized, but at least this is important to know when you think about designing a program from government or really setting up something that can then be of use for small or medium enterprises, because very often they don't have the capacity, they don't have the skill to really understand what it is about. And this is also an invitation again to the European Commission to make it much friendly as possible also for micro enterprises to take part. So you can see what our members do is very often assisting SMEs also concerning IP management, is also to make them learn how to make use of strategic partnerships, transfer, let's say, competences that are very important if it comes to investment attraction. Next slide, please. Here you can see that we have most knowledge-intensive sectors covered, but also there is a huge focus on the traditional sectors because they are very often innovation can make the difference and can really help SMEs grow and reach new targets, as for example, food and design or the market that is behind this. So very often also in ICT, we have very small companies making the difference. Security can be another case. So we try, let's say, to cover mainly all of those sectors. Next slide, please. How to take advantage of us. My invitation is first of all to go to our website and you can get our newsletters and you can see what we do. There is a blog, there is a lot of, let's say, dissemination channels. On the other hand, I would like to invite you, as I said before, it is a sharing of knowledge. So the idea is nobody should reinvent the wheel. No? So there is a lot of knowledge that for you might be already obvious, that can still be very interesting when it comes to some other countries. As we are, let's say, becoming more and more global, we are sure that there is a lot of your methodology that you can really share if it comes to the ASEAN regions, if it comes to the Pan-African Parliament we are strongly working with, or also other, let's say, regions that we are targeting. What we do is training on innovation management, mainly for intermediaries. Training on sustainability is for intermediaries first, because in our ministries or in our, let's say, for example, chambers of commerce, 10 years ago, nobody knew about really about sustainability. So it's first of all those people that need to be trained to then go out and really assist their SMEs with a real benefit behind it. We do also international events. I will come to this shortly. This is how I also met Mina. I think it was a nice frame. Last year we have been in Korea. This year we will be in Turkey. But we are going all around the world. 2014 is in Abu Dhabi, 2015 in South Africa. So you can see we are really targeting the global, I don't want to say leaders, but in a nice and dynamic environment. What you can also do is learning about, let's say, initiatives and opportunities that are there, sponsored sometimes by the European Commission, but also by other actors like the development banks, like the World Bank. They have a lot of open calls for studies, and it might be useful for you also, like investors, to be in their database and be called as an expert, because they really need your knowledge. This is my feeling. It's just my personal opinion. We have just launched our INSME Academy, which is a webinar-based lunchtime seminar per month, where we really target different topics and also geographical areas. For example, how to invest after the Arabic Spring. That can be interesting. Or also, what about social innovation? Different topics that it can be interesting for you just to follow us, because it's a 1-hour seminar per month that you can easily follow from your PC. It will be a little bit in the morning for you, but because given the fact that we are global, we need to do it like in the middle of the day to make sure that also the Asians can follow us if they want to be still awake in the evening. Then another idea is working on twinnings. It would be useful, I am convinced of this idea, to make people really change their ways of seeing things. So that means sending a policymaker to a company for 2 weeks, or do the contrary. The same can apply also to academics. I think your universities are already used to work closely, in close collaboration with the market, with the industry. It's not the case all over the world. So this is also a way to showcase your expertise, to make use of our dissemination channels, to make your business or your interests be known in the world. So this can be useful. We have a more than 19,600 stakeholder database that are not members, but that are organizations targeting innovation all around let's say, all around the globe. Next, please. This is the invitation that I was anticipating before. We have one annual meeting, which is normally quite a nice and challenging event. Last year we have been in Korea. This year we are going to be in Turkey in May with a topic, you can read it here, the governance of innovation, how to really build an innovative ecosystem for SMEs. When you are used to the word ecosystem, for many countries this is still to be discussed. So how do you really create an innovation-friendly environment for micro-enterprises? Think about this, and also how can you really manage to have all those players working together, reaching the right target. Next slide, please. This is just for you to read the macro topics of the international conference. We start with roundtables, because there is for the members and the General Assembly in the afternoon. Then we have 1.5 days of international conference, which will be quite interactive this year, because we have just panel discussions, because we want the audience to intervene. Then we have a half day of site visits, where we really go and touch some example of innovation from Turkey, in this case excellences, and see what they did, what they put in place to make it happen. And last but not least, we have a nice international training session that this year will be together with our Turkish friend and UNCTAD from the United Nations. So it will be on how to really attract foreign investment, and also concerning IP protection, which is something which normally all SMEs hate. No, I don't know if it's the same for you, but maybe your regulation is much better than ours. But nevertheless, it's a very difficult topic for SMEs to really face. Next slide. This is just to close my short speech, or nearly to close it. When you speak about creativity, I think there is a lot that we can somehow share as your thoughts. And this morning, having a coffee here, I learned a lot about the US. It's my first time, let's say, that I am here. I have been here as a child, but I don't really remember a lot of it. So I have learned a lot. I have learned that you say better a private dollar than a government dollar, because that means that it is really dynamic and there will be more output. And I hope really that this kind of creativity, which is also implementing then sustainability, environmental friendly and social innovation, will really be spread in all the world. So I will really be happy if this kind of methodology can come also, maybe through our network, through the European Commission, whatever, also to the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. And last but not least, I will leave you my comments. Next slide, please. This is just to tell you how we see that it can be done. 97 members is a good thing. We don't want to become 2,000. This is not the idea, but we want to have the right stakeholders from diverse countries to really make sure that our discussions, our working groups, for example, on entrepreneurial spirit, will be read by somebody. So it should really target a new stakeholder group that puts collaboration in the middle of it. This is what we learned here today as well, and I really see that this is a very good ground. A fruitable collaboration can be immediately undertaken between our organizations. So I really thank you for this nice opportunity to be here. I also brought some brochures, whatever, and I will be here so we can absolutely speak afterwards if it's for you an added value. So thank you. Last slide, please, for your attention. I don't know, it's written quite small, but I have some business cards. And it would be an honor for me also to speak to the investors to really learn more how we can attract them to our network and develop an added value for you to raise some awareness and get some feedback from our network. So thank you very much.